Today we have with us Ryan Servant and Jeremy Strootman of iconik. Guys, welcome.
Thank you
Thank
very
you, Roy.
much.
Really appreciate having you. Congrats on your success, first of all. And to start off, please tell us a bit about yourself and what you do at iconik. Maybe Ryan, go first.
Yeah, because
Oh,
I
man.
like to copy everything he does, really. So I need him.
Man, I was going to make you go first, Jeremy. So my name is Ryan Servant. My title is Director of Channel Operations here at Backlight. My job is to make sure our great partners like CineSys are enabled to be able to represent and talk about our products in an efficient way.
My name's Jeremy, of course, Director of Channel Sales. I work very closely with the sellers and the engineering side of partners like CineSys in customer sites to help them build solutions and architect solutions for people.
Great, great. All right, let's get into it. Now, so iconik is part of the Backlight group of companies. Today we'll be focused on iconik, but
Sure.
please tell us as a starting point to provide a broader perspective. Please tell us a bit about the group of companies under the Backlight umbrella.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So, Backlight, when it was put together, acquired effectively 5 or 6 technologies that had been in the marketplace, all of them SaaS-based solutions. And a lot of them are complementary to iconik or will become more complementary to iconik. So we have some script writing software. We've got some visual effects, pipeline management software like F-Track. And then on the streaming and the streaming side of the fence, we've got Wild Mocha, which allows for live clipping or clipping of live content to publish to social media, as well as Zype, which is our kind of like CMS playout solution. Now, all these products, kind of sat independently of one another prior to the Backlight acquisition. But now that the development team and the product development team are all under one umbrella, they're sharing ideas and exploring with customer feedback ways to bridge the gap between these solutions and create more of a holistic solution. We're never going to jam, a backlight down someone's throat per se, but providing integration options that are more out of the box is what the goal for Backlight is moving forward.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun to watch and see like what are some of the best components of some of the products and how can we kind of share in that technology across the product lines. I do think that iconik is, and just don't tell some of the other people. I think iconik is a favorite among the companies. Excuse me, with the products, and so being able to see like our player technology or our distribution options or some of the transcoding options sneak into the other products has been fun to watch. Because again, we're allowing options and features to be brought in without much development. It's just more of a kind of collaboration between the product teams.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a really impressive group of solutions, group of companies. Yeah. All right. Now I'm going to quote your marketing team and ask you to comment on it.
Love it.
This is a quote I love your website about what the definition of what iconik does. So unites creative people in one space around their media, forming a collective hive mind to create the biggest stories the world has ever seen.
Oh, I give them an A. I give them an
yeah.
A.
Wow.
That's a
Yeah.
great sentence.
Not written by Chat GPT.
No,
Well,
no.
I mean, I feel like we could have added a few more buzzwords in there, and it would have been really top notch.
Throw a
Well, no, I get
synergy in there and
synergy. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
listen, we're excited about what the marketing team has done, and we're actually really excited about what we're planning to do in the next few months. What they're doing with the brands and marketing to be able to tell our story to the people who tell stories has been fun to watch. And I do think that between now and NAB in April, you're going to see even more interesting marketing and branding to tell you how some of the customers are using the products. It's hard to be able to describe what we do when the types of customers we're helping with their workflow on a day-to-day basis differ immensely. from broadcasters to ad agencies to churches to manufacturing. It's hard to summarize how are we helping all these people. They did a pretty good job in this one.
Yeah, I mean, they all do share the same fundamental problem, and we're solving the same fundamental problem. They did a good job in summarizing that in one sentence. It's hard to do that with Iconic because it's a
Yeah.
full-fledged, media asset management tool. But they all are the customers all share a commonality, and that's disparate storage all over the place. Teams working in silos. There's more freelancers than ever. There's folks like myself in living out in the woods as a nomad for a month and then going back into an office. Well, how does that affect your work and all of that? And Iconic really does bring those groups together, no matter where they're from, where they are, brings the storage, the aggregate storage all together, and presents a unified single pane of glass for an organization's media assets. And no matter where you're able to get access to those and communicate about those and collaborate with one another. Like I said, from disparate creative groups to freelancers that maybe you're bringing on in peak seasonality with the ebbs and flows of work. And it's it I think that sentence actually does tell the story
Yeah.
as much as you
Yeah.
can in one sentence.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's talk about on-prem versus cloud. So
Yeah.
what are the strongest use cases for Iconic, and what's your best guidance for deciding what assets to place in the cloud and what assets to have on-prem?
So it's a good topic, and I know Jeremy's got some opinions, but I've got to say at first, one of the strongest use cases for Iconic in general is we work in any setup, right? So we don't really, it doesn't really matter where your files are. If they're on-prem or cloud, there's multiple on-prem solutions or multiple cloud solutions. What's great about Iconic is we can work in a true hybrid environment. So it's up to the user and what their goals are. And usually like to say, you don't want me deciding, you want a channel partner or a solutions architect like you guys, like CineSys, to be able to help guide the customer as to what's best for them now and in 6 months and in 2 years, right? So, Jeremy and I have opinions, and I think he's going to share some, but it's always best to talk to your kind of consultant or to your hive mind of your integrator to know what's good for us in that situation.
Yeah.
Iconic will fit any of those scenarios, but everyone's got their own goals on what they want to do and what they want to accomplish in the future.
Yeah. I think the reality is that what the customer is trying to accomplish really dictates the storage layout. There is an argument to keep in a lot of cases to keep um an on-premise large scale NAS or SAN solution as the source of truth for the content, and it all gets into one spot, and it's got disaster recovery, and it's being backed up, and it's being snapshotted, and all of those fun things that you all do to keep a storage hygiene situation going well. But the reality is some customers they shoot remote. In the case of tournament based work like golf or tennis or what have you, there isn't a quote unquote home base or a home team, so to speak. Every game is an away game. So, there's a need to go directly to the cloud. And then the news cycle of, let's just say, a golf tournament, that news cycle is only a few days long. So you've got to cut, get content out the door as fast as possible and deliver. And then you can decide how to strategically manage the content, the actual files, for long time archival purposes. So there is a need sometimes to go direct into the cloud and to deliver out of the cloud and to manage stuff out of the cloud. But that doesn't mean it has to remain there forever. Uh, maybe it does get brought back on premise for longer term storage or what have you. So there isn't a right answer. We do see that the majority of people are adopting cloud archive, right? So regardless of if it's on premise or you have you know, a high performant cloud-based editorial storage pool, cold tiers of AWS Glacier or Google or what have you, you know, people are pushing content out to those deeper archives or colder tiers of storage in the cloud for long-term purposes. It just makes sense. Um, you know, and it's cost effective now, as long as
Sure.
we're not trying to retrieve or egress all of it out.
Exactly.
But I would say, you know, to give you a snapshot in 2024, I would say, you know, still 85% of customers have some sort of on-premise storage somewhere in the infrastructure. The majority of them are hybridized, so there is some cloud as well, but very few of our customers are 100% cloud, you know, storage, nothing on premise. It's a handful, but they're out there and they're becoming more and more frequent.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting.
And it's always best to, again, I know I sound like I work for CineSys right now, but it's always best to even talk to your partners when you want to talk about changing or when you want to do something. Hey, in 6 months, we think we're going to move from this cloud provider to this cloud provider or this on-prem to a cloud provider because some new technologies come out. There's oftentimes there's hidden fees. And a good partner like CineSys will be able to tell you, hey, let's make sure we do it in this way or in this move so we don't lose any information, we don't lose any metadata, and most of all, it doesn't actually end up costing more money to do that move. So again, make sure that you're utilizing your full team, whether that's internal or external, to make sure you make these interesting decisions going forward.
Yeah, great point. All right, next subject. Everybody wants to know about AI these days. So please speak a little bit about the AI features on the Iconic platform.
Yeah, I mean, listen, first of all, AI is an interesting topic that I think everyone's got an opinion on. You know, I always assumed that Jeremy was AI the first few years I was working with him, but it turned out he's real.
I was the
Yeah.
first AI, yeah.
He sounds like a robot with that deep voice, but he's a real person. He's a real boy, everyone. So you know, when we talk about AI, you know, you want to think about things like transcription or auto tagging or facial recognition. These are all things that we do have kind of built in. But we also, just like we are open to using any storage provider, we want you to use any third-party provider as well. And so we allow you to connect to whatever you feel like is the flavor of the month. We usually say, you know, we have some built in that we've created that we own the technology to. And so we want you to be able to have that. But then again, we want you to connect to third party because we do think, in our opinion, in our product team's opinion, that kind of who the winner is in terms of creating software that tags with AI or provides you metadata AI in a fancy way. It's going to take a few years to shake out in terms of acquisitions and new technologies. So again, having some built in and then being able to connect to some third party, we feel like is the best way to support our customer base.
Yeah, I would agree. There's so much that we can put into Iconic as like native AI integration. But largely I think as we move forward into machine learning, and when I say that, I'm thinking about very specific things, you know, talking to what just recent customers have asked for that isn't necessarily easily available right now. Like, for example, I had a customer who was asking about, you know, machine learning being able to identify lighting trusses on stages, right? Specific lighting, and it's like, wow, that's very specific, and it's not necessarily something that's available in Iconic. Um, so, you know, machine learning like that, eventually, yes, you will be able to easily identify specific lighting trusses on a stage rig or a setup like that. But the reality is those databases, I think in the future will be largely independent or outside of the MAM, but tied to the MAM. Think about like project management. It's not a media asset management feature function, but it's tied into MAM. You know, rights management tied into MAM. Uh, you know, production management tied into MAM. And I think machine learning will be tied into MAM as well. So it's not as though you won't go to your MAM interface. Perhaps you'll go to more of like a chatbot style interface that you'll be able to query against your machine learning database, your MAM database, and all of that. And you'll still be presented assets through the MAM. But I don't think, uh, by and large, the features and functions of AI that will put in native out of the box and iconic are going to be so robust that some of these huge edge cases, uh, it'll suffice. So it'll be an aggregate, kind of like Ryan said, an aggregate of machine learning and AI that'll all work with your man.
Yeah,
And not to
makes sense. And
mention the
that's
fact there's going to be a lot of machine learning that's done on premise in terms of on premise processing. It's very inexpensive. Can you do it in the cloud? Of course you can. But I do think for a long time, it's almost like transcoding. Can you run all your transcoding in the cloud? Yes. Does it make sense? Not if you've got a stack of transcoders in your machine room that are
yeah,
doing nothing else. You should do the transcoding on premise. And I think
yeah,
the same rule will apply with machine learning.
yeah, yeah. Makes sense. And how you describe it is what we hear from customers, right? They want a solution or a platform not to kind of trap them in, right? They want a platform that works with everyone so they can find various solutions and
Exactly.
integrate them. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
And you're going to hear that theme with every answer we're providing here is that if it doesn't, for us, it doesn't matter if it's storage or AI or transcoding it. We want to be open. We want to say like, what do you want to use?
Yeah.
So that you always have the ability to use best in breed other products. Jeremy and I have opinions on all of these other products, these alliance partners we have. And there's always going to be something cool and new and exciting. And we want our customers not to be locked into anything. So oftentimes, half the time we're talking about Iconic, we're actually talking about the other peripheral software platforms in the customer's workflow and how well we can connect to it. And that's
Right.
that's again something that we always harp on. And as you can tell, we've been answering these questions in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, continuing on with that subject, um, being open and working with third parties. So you have a native panel for Adobe software, correct?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we
Yeah, actually, I've heard one of the best panels that folks have used out there. We get a ton of positive feedback for that, and it is primarily being used, for Premiere, but it is, available on the After Effects side, Photoshop, any Adobe product that kind of has that open SDK, um, which not all of them do. Maybe someday Adobe will, make that available through the entire product suite, but the big stuff is the Premiere, the After Effects, things like that. It is unique in that, we are able to effectively monitor what assets editors are using in their timeline, what they're editing with. So we're able to kind of track and create an audit log, but breadcrumbs to basically go back to older projects and see, have I used this before? In what way did I use it? Or how many times did I use it? If, there's several, situations where we've done deployments for folks, and the integrator showing a customer, hey, you've used this same B-roll 32 times, maybe we find some more B-roll, right? So, that is a unique capability in the Iconic panel, the Adobe panel that Iconic provides, just creating that audit trail and giving, customers and companies that historical data about how they're using their content.
I think the other powerful thing is in terms of just like onboarding Iconic. So getting editors and creatives to start using Iconic as an asset management tool, they can truly never actually open Iconic. They can stay in Adobe and never actually interact with our web-based platform. And so that for us is very different, and it's been different for customers who say this has been fantastic. I don't feel like it's overwhelming to learn how to work with it because I can do everything and sometimes even more with that panel. And so, I had this great interaction. I had someone from my product team talking to a customer about a few things, and the customer kept complimenting the panel. And our product person actually said, I didn't know, I don't get to talk to a lot of customers. It was a product engineer that we hide in a closet. But he basically said, we have so much more we want to do with the panel. And so we assumed that we were not providing the services that you wanted in that panel. And the customer said, you guys are doing so much more and in a nice, clean, efficient way that you're leaps and bounds ahead. So that really motivated our product team, not only to kind of give them a little bit of you're headed down the right path, but then the customer heard we have a lot more we want to do, and so we're excited about what we can do with the panel to enhance how usable it is for our customer base.
And part of that, the biggest challenge with media asset management is not getting in the way of the creative editorial process, right? Like that is what kills a lot of user adoption on the MAM side. And the reality is, as editors, they know where things are. They're likely put the stuff there, so they know where everything is.
Yeah.
And they organize it the way they want to organize it. And when a MAM gets in the way of their creative process, that's just a deal killer. So we want to provide the best of both worlds. One, giving, not getting in the way of creative, giving them some additional tools that are nice to have, um, but then giving the overall organization, what they want. And what they want is a MAM and data records, points of data that they can point to. And that's the trick. And I think we've done a great job, and the panel is a huge part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Excellent, excellent. All right. And you've already spoken to some of the cloud storage providers that you work with, but just because it's important, maybe just again the list of cloud storage providers that you integrate with.
Ooh, there's so many. I hope we don't miss any. That's
Yeah,
the
Oh
one
yeah,
yeah.
thing. So if we
80.
if we forget any, please don't send any emails or
yeah,
Slack messages or
yeah,
angry LinkedIn messages.
yeah,
Yeah, we really work with anyone, right?
yeah,
Um, and so there are different levels of integration. If that storage provider has some enhanced functionality on top of their storage, we might kind of do some cool stuff with any kind of platforms that they have on top of their storage. Um, I mean,
They
Jared,
all have a little bit, they all have different offerings, right? So the AWSs of the world, they have hot and really cold tiers of storage, and we work natively with those. But the big three, Microsoft Azure, uh, Google GCS, and AWS S3 are obviously covered. And then we work with a lot of the more boutique offerings like the Wasabis, the Backblazes. Seagate's got an offering, and we work natively with that. And we just recently inked a partnership with, I'm going to, hopefully I don't mess it up, Storage J, Storage,
yeah,
yeah,
store with a J on the end.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so
Storage A, yeah,
those folks are really great folks, and we've passed certification with that and works natively with that. And then some of these unique um, cloud cloud providers that present uh, S3 storage or object store as native NAS, like LucidLink, Suite Studios. Those folks we work really well with as well. So, like Ryan said, there really isn't anything that we've bumped into. If a cloud provider is providing the same S3 spec that Amazon designed, it's going to work.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I will say we've seen a huge uptick in the LucidLink Suite Studio type solution where they're presenting cloud storage as local storage. And so I do think that's kind of a cool technology. But what's great about the Suite Studios and LucidLink is that there's not much needs to be done on the iconic side, right? So
Yeah.
once it's presenting to the system as local storage, it's local storage.
Yeah.
Um, so
It looks the same to Iconic as a Quantum StoreNext file system or something like that. It's very native to Iconic.
Yeah. But you can help customers save money by only putting the content they need on Lucid Link
Bingo.
compared to archive, right? And that's
Correct.
correct,
important to
yeah, and
customers.
Well, that's the same rule. It's something you touched on, Roy, because that's been the challenge is hot storage. Everybody just collects everything on, and it fills
Yeah.
up, and I mentioned storage hygiene. I don't know if that's a phrase I invented or what, but it's really keeping that hot tier of storage, succinct and just, works in progress, or works that you may go back to in months from now, but not years from now. And
Yeah.
those same rules apply for Suite Studios and LucidLink as they would your StoreNext file system. Keep it
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. The other thing we hear all the time from customers is, does it have an open API so that I can create stuff, create certain workflows,
It,
or
Yeah,
my integrator can
I'll,
create
I'll tell you,
workflow? Yeah.
when it comes down to it, we're sales guys, right? And as a sales guy, it actually drives me crazy that our API is so open, because we'll roll into a trade show like NAB, and we'll have 5, 6, 7 different alliance partners to say, "Hey, I wrote a plugin to your system," and we'll say, "I've never even heard of you. Show it to me."
yeah.
And so it's great in that. I mean, the founders of Iconic, and again, we're focusing on Iconic, but the founders of Iconic, really wanted to have this as an open API. So they created the API first and then built Iconic with the API. And
Mhm.
so
Built the UI on top of the API that they had designed. So yeah, it's API first.
yeah, and that's why also when we're talking about all these storage partners, going back to the storage partners, if there's a partner that we don't connect with that have a cool widget, usually, again, our great partners like CineSys, they can actually go and write something themselves. Sometimes we'll build it within the product, but sometimes it's much faster to use someone like CineSys to build that hook. If you've got a storage provider, or you've got transcoding, or you've got something you want to connect to Iconic that either we're not going to do in our roadmap, or we don't plan to because it's a very unique, bespoke thing. Our partners who understand our technology usually can create that hook for you.
Yeah.
I think there's some
Yeah.
of the best stuff I've seen, and not only just the API, but there's webhooks available and custom actions and things along these lines. And the team at CineSys has done a lot of writing against those kind of like webhooks and custom actions and APIs. I know there's a menu of features that are not features of Iconic, but are driven through CineSys integrations. So there's a menu of some cool tricks that these guys have done. And then on top of that, we've got folks out there like North Shore Automation just released an entire Python library for our APIs. So if you're a Python coder, and you want to begin working with the API without getting into the API level, you can work with some of their tools that they've put out there as well, so on GitHub. So it's nice to have a community of people that are developing around Iconic and creating some unique integrations.
Yeah. 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 Our team loves doing that, and
Yep.
they love helping customers that way. Right. And earlier you spoke to the diversity of your customers and how many different industries your customers exist in. Would would you agree that in today's world, gosh, every company is now a media company, right? They're all producing content for social media
Um,
or whatever else it is.
yeah, I mean, and it sounds crazy, but like for us, especially again on the Iconic front, it's everyone has the same question, which is like, where's my stuff?
Yeah.
What do I have?
Yeah.
Right. So if you have a whole bunch of media, and documents and anything else, audio, video, and you just don't know where your stuff is, Iconic helps with that, right? So everyone has that same problem, whether you're, again, manufacturing, whether you're a church, insurance company, a financial bank. I mean, we're truly dealing with everyone, which keeps the job fun because we discover more and more companies with video that we didn't expect sometimes to have video, or how they're utilizing video, as things grow. I mean, there's a construction style company that will go out and take a bunch of pictures of your house and then give you a quote. And what we found was that they were actually feeding some of their photos and videos right into Iconic to then create a marketing database of their before and after pictures. And so again, having all of this where the sales guy going around taking pictures doesn't know he's building a database of marketable content for their social media system. It's interesting to see how Iconic can be used to really do a nice ROI for really any type of customer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true. Yeah. All right. Is there anything I haven't asked about that you would like to share?
I mean, this is a pretty extensive breakdown. I mean, I just think it's to end for us, it's we're really excited about what Backlight's going to do in the future. Again, we talked a lot about Iconic, but Backlight in general, and for us on the horizon to be able to look at the best parts of all of the products and bring them together and offer new features and new solutions to customers in a way that we're not just trying to steal every penny from them, right? Providing real service and systems that are truly making people work easier and more efficient is exciting to be a part of. And so what we see in the next few quarters and in 2025 is exciting because I think you're gonna get some features in there that you either weren't expecting or didn't know you wanted. And we're just going to get it in there so our customers can get to work and continue to have Iconic be a big part of their day to day.
Yeah, excellent. Well, I have to say how much our customers love Iconic. Also, how much we enjoy our partnership with you and working with you. So thank you for that, and
Absolutely.
thanks for joining us today.
We appreciate the opportunity. I don't want to speak on behalf of Jeremy, but we do. We really appreciate the
No.
opportunity. And
Look, it's a great team, right? The folks over at CineSys are not only great colleagues, but great friends. So it's easy to work with you all and collaborate with you all as you kind of are pushing the needle forward. It's a great group of folks, and our developers are in contact with the CineSys solution architects and all of that. So they're chatting at all hours of the day, and it's just a great partnership. So it's super fun to work with you guys.
Yeah, yeah. We'll just both focus on just continuing to help customers
Yeah,
tell stories, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
thank you very much for the opportunity, Roy, and the rest of the team for setting this up. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Thanks, everyone, for joining.